Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Pollen Pitch Days. We've got our second group here tonight. The grantees tonight are the second group of 7 to make their way to the final decision makers who will vote on these grants in the upcoming weeks. Those decision makers are the current grant committee members that we have here. We've got Sal Gala here at EV3 Ventures. They're a thesis-driven crypto or a thesis-driven venture capital fund that invests in the space. We've got Nico Lemieux here. He's got experience in politics and private equity, and he's an early proponent of the Pollen Network and the tip and DY space. And then we've got Alex Kanji, he's right here. There he is. Alex Kanji from Hexagon Wireless, who's a enterprise DY deployer and accelerator in the space. I'm Andrew Fisher, and while I'm not administrating the grants program here at Pollen, I run an enterprise deployment company called Noble Networks Incorporated. And so, yeah, we're going to get to these grants here soon. Again, the Pollen Grants program, we want to be transparent, help excel the growth of Pollen Mobile and our developer community leaders, and projects. They're all working super hard to help grow our ecosystem. And so be sure to turn in on YouTube, comment any questions. If you have any questions about any of the grantees projects, as time permits, we'll try to answer as many of those as possible. If we don't get to you, please engage back in the PGP channel on the Pollen Mobile Discord. Tonight, let's see. Yeah, let's bring in Sally again. Just like last night, we'll bring in Sally Frickman from Pollen. She is the CMO of Pollen Mobile. Hey, Sally. How are you?
Hey guys. Hi all you pollination pollinators. I am so happy to be here. I'm in the office today and I have some friends with me. We have the Hot Spotty team. Hello. They're a little blurry.
Hey guys.
We have our engineers hanging out in the pollen pit watching as well. I thought yesterday was phenomenal. It was extremely inspiring what everyone is doing to give communities decentralized wireless, and how you are building out the network has been it's been amazing. And so I just want to thank you, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen today. And I will, if you stick around till the end, you'll get a prize. And we figured out what it was. It's a hoodie, and it's going to be really, really cool. So you better stick around.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, let's get straight into it on this one. We've got our first grant, or our grant, I would say contestant, I guess, is it? No, it's our grant finalist is Vishal with the Hiker Soul Discord bot with Pollen integration. Hey, Vishal, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you all the people watching my project. So yeah, I'll just get started. So a little bit about myself. I am Vishal Patel. I have been in the data analytics space for about 12 years, and for last 2.5 years, I've also been involved in a lot of decentralized wireless project, Helium to name. And if you've used Helium Hiker, my website, or a Hiker bot, which was very helpful in terms of testing the connectivity and some other analytics. This would sound familiar. It's just another bot, but I'm making it specific for the Pollen community now. Yeah, again, as the ecosystem grows and the Pollen network grows, there are a lot of devices that are going to be online, and everyone is going to be looking for the data. And what I'm trying to provide is easier access to the data. You don't need any technical knowledge. You will be able to get the information that you need in an easy way right in Discord. So, yep, it's a Hiker Soul Discord bot. Andrew, if you can put the link in a YouTube. Again, anyone can join this Discord server. I'll provide instruction as well. But it is live with a couple of commands, and I'll go through those as well. But yeah, I'll quickly get started. So yeah, I mean, the goal is to create a Discord bot that will provide key information to users of the community about their Pollen devices and rewards via the bot commands as well as the push notifications. This is how you can use the bot, join the hiker.rocks Discord server. If it asks for the verification steps, go through it. You can run the commands in the Hiker Soul commands channel, or if you would like, to do direct message with HikerSoul bot. That's available as well. And you will be able to see the list of commands with the .help command as well. So I just want to quickly go over the current state of the data consumption, right? So I am part of the Discord community for a couple months now, and always I'm trying to understand what community needs are. And for many users, they do rely on the ledger data, and we do know that it comes with it pros, but also the cons, delays, and sometimes I've also heard Andrew say that it's really discouraged to use that. And there aren't other alternatives. I mean, Pollen Vision guys have done a great job, but other than that, there aren't really any alternatives. So what I'm trying to provide is easy to use, a chat-based tool which will give you the data that you need. So the solution is the HikerSoul Discord bot. And what I'm trying to provide is easy to use bot commands to get the most up-to-date data from the Pollen API. There will be commands which will set you up on the push notifications for the reward notification or the device activity summary, and it could be used as a command as well. What this will do is it will reduce the complexity in terms of the data consumption. It would be instant response as well. I'm also going to be working on the device status command. So let's just say a scenario where you're on a roof setting up your antenna, and you would like to see if it is online or not. Again, you can always trust the lights, but this will provide you that information as well. And let's say in a scenario, and this is what I actually asked the Poland team, if they can provide me, it would be helpful, because I was trying to deploy my antenna, and a week later, I was like, I'm not sure if my flower is online. I'm not able to validate it. Again, I know that botanists have this information as well, but you do need to go through some extra step to get there. With my bot, hopefully you should be able to run a command and get that information right away. And again, this hopefully the Discord, everyone should be aware and familiar with the Discord. So using it should be straightforward, and it's a chat-based tool, right? So let's say it will also preserve the chat and all the commands and the data that bot is providing to you. And you may be able to use this as a note-taking tool. Let's say you tried doing certain things, and when it worked, you should be able to go back and just use it as a chat software, but also refer it back and say what happened and how did you resolve it. So yeah, there are a couple of things you can do. It is live now with few commands, and my goal is to make many more commands and help users with understanding the data about their Pollen devices. So these are the key deliverables, right? Again, I mentioned launching the bot, which I think at this point, you hopefully everyone should have the link, and feel free to join the Discord server. I'll be available to answer any question after my presentation. But yeah, it's available to use. I'll be working on the command summary, which is there right now. I'll show in a detail as well, but I want to make sure that it is also mobile friendly. I also want to make sure that currently it's only able to use the wallet address. I want to make command flexible enough where it can also take the device wacky name and able to just pull the data for those devices. And one of the, I'm a big believer of the community feedback. And again, I want to make sure that I'm talking to the community members, what their needs are, how they are using the tool or bot, and what can I do better? Are there any commands that they would like to see? And to be honest, I think when I launched my first bot, it it was more of a prototype, but when I launched it and then opened it up to the community came up with a great suggestions, and I implemented those, and those were really helpful for others, and like everyone started using it. So that's what I would like to do is, once the bot is launched and everyone started using it, I would love to hear feedback and what are the things they would like to see from the bot, and I'll try my best to work on those. So here are just some of the screenshots. Again, you'll be able to use this as well, but this is a balance command. And again, some of the information may be coming from the Solana blockchain. Some of the information may be coming from the Pollen API, but from your perspective, if you just use your Solana wallet address, you should be able to get all this information. So this is a balance information. And one of the coolest thing is my bot will be, so let's say if you have more than one PCN addresses, I know that sometimes that happens with the Solana as well. So even it would handle those cases as well, and it will provide you information for both addresses as well. For the notification, which I'll go next. So this is the reward posting push notification. And I have been using this at least for a month now. And this is what I rely on now, where that something has posted, just take a quick look at it. And when that has been done, I will go to the next one, which is the device activity summary. So this is the PCN summary with your Solana wallet address as well, and the date for which you would like to see the summary. And there is a lot of this information packed in here, which is, if you see, you are going to see the information overall. What was the reward for the pollination? What is the reward for the hex validation? Sorry. What is the reward for the hex validation and what is the reward for the attach? Overall, you will see for all the flowers as well as particular flower as well. Same thing for the bumblebee as well as any hummingbirds or honeybees that you might have in the wallet, and it will just summarize this information for you in a very easy way for you to understand. I'm also planning to make it such a way where it could be used with the date range, so that easy to understand data, but also easy to get for you, where you're not trying to crunch some number in a spreadsheet or other tools. So again, those are some of the things that are live today, and there's a lot more that I want to do in terms of summary, detail, and also talking to the community and understand what they're looking for. Yeah, so this is it. I mean, thanks for providing me the opportunity to present the project. And yeah, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. It looks like you're on mute, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, you're on mute.
I was gonna say, let's see who would like to go first. Let's try Sal here.
Sure. Vishal, just curious if you have any, how many people use it in Helium per, I don't know.
So yes, so in the Helium, the Hiker Rock server, it also has all the users from the Helium community. It is about 4,000 users on my Discord server right now. And just to provide the statistics, the Hiker bot, which was my first bot, had served close to 175,000 requests in a year and a half.
Super cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really cool.
How about Alex? You got anything, Alex?
I just think it's really a really cool idea. It's such a simple initiative. It's just, it's always good when you can have simple tools that meet people where they are and remove friction, right? And give people multiple ways of getting their information, so that it's not necessarily cookie cutter. So yeah, great work.
Yeah, thank you. And I definitely agree with you, right? Again, simplicity is what I want to bring here as well, right? That when you're trying to do something, it should be simple. Again, there are use cases where it's going to be complex, and maybe that's not going to be served by my bot. I will still try it, but there are very good use cases that I can serve with my bot, which would be easy, and for which you may feel that I don't have to go to. Again, one of the example is, let's say you have a bunch of Solana wallets, one for flower, one for bumblebee, one for honeybee, right? And I mean, again, people have set up things in a different way. If you would like to see even just a reward posting notification, it would be, you will be going to multiple wallet or logging in, logging out, right? Here, you can add multiple wallet for your notification as well. And whenever the the transaction reward posting happens, within 15 minutes, you will be notified via push notification in your Discord for those wallets.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else from anybody? Let me see if there's anything here in the comments. I don't believe so at the moment, but great presentation, and thank you, Vishal. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be available to answer any question. And again, if you join the server, I'll be available there as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Vishal.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, next up here, we've got Jose from LongFi. Let's get Jose up here right now. Where are you? There you are. How's it going, Jose?
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me okay, Andrew?
Good. Yeah. Yeah. So we've got Jose here from LongFi. They are going to be presenting here on educating the Hispanic community for the Pollen Network by Jose from LongFi Solutions.
Perfect. Can you see my screen?
I am putting it up right now. Let's see.
Alrighty.
There we go.
Alrighty. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you to the committee members and also to the community for your time and attention this evening. Today, I'm going to be talking about how we can grow the pollen garden through education. My name is Jose Torres, co-founder of LongFi Solutions. I'd like to start with a little bit of motivation by recalling that telecommunications is the main catalyzer for community uplift, but in times where it's not there, when it's absent, it can also inhibit, isolate, and hinder progress and hinder community uplift. Today, millions around the world and around the US are left unconnected and isolated because of poor coverage. Many times, simply because it's just not profitable for the big telco to cover their areas, and sometimes because the plans are simply too costly for the family budget. These phenomena afflict underserved communities the most. And while traditional efforts to improve this from like grassroots efforts or community efforts are somewhat effective, I think they lack the nationwide collaboration and the nationwide incentive model to make a timely impact for these communities. But today we have DeWi, and through DeWi, we can apply cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies to the open CBRS spectrum. And through that, we can empower the community, we can empower us to make a direct impact on the quality and accessibility of digital communications. Today, as we and as the Pollen community rolls out the first people-owned decentralized cellular network in the United States, roughly 20% of the US population is Hispanic. And today I want to talk about the importance of educating this large cohort on topics like cryptocurrency and decentralized wireless and how it can uplift their communities while also strengthening the Pollen mobile ecosystem. We're going to do that by first talking about some of the demographics. Then we're going to look at the scope of the educational program that we're proposing. I want to share a concept then that I call the educational flywheel. And then after that, we're going to explore some of the things that LongFi can offer specifically in this effort. And finally, we want to leave some time for the committee members and the community to ask questions and propose ideas. First, let's play a little game. We're going to take a look at 5 cities. These 5 cities are in Pollen Mobile's top 10 as far as active antennas. And this information comes from our friends at Pollen Vision. And then for each of those 5 cities, we're going to take a look at what is the percentage of Hispanic population in those cities. And that information comes from the US Census. What is the #1 city as far as pollen deployments? San Francisco. And San Francisco is made up of 15% Hispanic population. The #2 city is Houston with 44%. Then we have Los Angeles at #4 as far as pollen concentration with 48% Hispanic population. Austin, Texas is #9 and it has 29%. And finally, Miami coming in at #10 has 72% Hispanic population. On average, the top 10 cities have about 32% Hispanic population. So the Hispanic population has been growing by 23% in the last 10 years. And it has, for the first time, become the largest racial or ethnic group in the state of California. So it is very clear that wherever we have a high amount of pollen antennas, we also have a very high, significant amount of Hispanic population. So now let's talk about how we can educate this population and at the same time grow the pollen garden. We're going to take a look at the educational content here. But before that, we need to prep the soil. We need to prepare. And in this phase 0 of the program, we're going to plan the content. We're going to explore collaborations with other community members that share a passion for educating. We're going to pick the best distribution channels from YouTube to TikTok. We'll assess them all. And finally, we're going to allocate resources before we start execution. On the phase 1 of the actual educational program, we're going to be planting the seeds. We want to teach the community about the basics of cryptocurrency and how decentralization empowers the individual to make an impact. We also want to provide people with the basics of telecommunication. What is 5G, 4G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, IoT, LoRaWAN, all of that. And we want to bring real examples to the table so that they can start connecting these concepts. And we're going to finish this phase by giving a teaser about DY, what is decentralized wireless. On phase 2, we're going to start meeting the flora and fauna of the Pollen ecosystem. And we want to start by giving the mission of Pollen. What is Pollen Mobile trying to do and why is it important? Then we're going to get a little bit more familiar with the flowers, the hummingbirds, the honeybees, the bumblebees. We want to do a big push on making sure they understand what are the incentives here, because I think it's the incentive model that makes all of these decentralized wireless projects really unique and monumental in our age. We want to go into the hardware and software also in this phase 2. And finally, in phase 3, we're going to start growing the garden, how we can apply all of this knowledge to actually start doing some signal analysis. Where can I put antennas? We also want to teach about basic deployments, for example, a residential balcony. And we also want to start teaching the community how to monitor either assets that they're hosting or assets that they deploy. Mapping is a huge operational portion of the Pollen Mobile ecosystem, and we want to make sure that that is well understood. And finally, we want to provide an introduction about building a community, because yes, the technicalities are important, but I think that in an ecosystem like this, the most important thing is people need to know how to approach other people and talk to them about it. How can you sell an antenna deployment? How can you tell your friends and your family about mapping and having them be part of an active community? So now that's not all. On phase 0, we're also proposing to create a version in Espanol of the Pollen Mobile IO website to get things started, to make sure that it serves as a landing base for the newcomers from the Hispanic community. All right, now let's talk a little bit about a concept that I like to call the educational flywheel. The flywheel starts with educating the Hispanic community on the topics that I just mentioned and making an emphasis on the incentives. These incentives are going to motivate the community to host, to map, to invest, to deploy their own antennas, and to expand the knowledge. And while we're doing this, we, Pollen, and other community members are going to be learning what are the most effective ways to educate the community, what are the pain points, are there any local, governmental, municipal programs that can help us with capital or with education. And this closes the loop, because we're going to use all of these learnings to improve our educational program, which is going to create a positive feedback loop, resulting on a win-win scenario. For the Hispanic community, it's going to bring them education, earnings, passive or active through mapping, and utility. And for Pollen Mobile, we're going to increase the user base. We're going to increase the people that know and talk about Pollen Mobile, and we're going to make sure that Pollen makes a positive impact in these underserved communities. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about LongFi Solutions. LongFi Solutions is a global DY ecosystem integrators made up of Josh, Andrew, and myself. And we have been here from the start. We deployed the first DY asset in the city of Houston, and we have had a passion for this sector, which has driven our efforts, and that effort has turned into expertise, which has made us a partner of choice when it comes to enterprise-grade deployments, as well as individual residential deployments. We have also developed a business model that scales with decentralized wireless networks, and we know that DY scales with the ever-growing need for improved telecommunications, which means that we're going to be here for the long run. We have a lot of experience deploying both in the US and abroad. In the first half of this year, I led a campaign to deploy IoT hardware and expand the network in Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, El Salvador, and we also have an active fleet in Guyana and in India. Now, specifically for this educational project that we're proposing, we have fluency, and obviously we need fluency in Spanish, but we also have fluency in DY, and we have the ability to translate not only from English to Spanish, but also from complex to easy to understand. We also have drive. I personally have experienced the uplifting power of technology. I distinctly remember when my dad brought home the first DSL modem. That was a life changer. And I remember that it was through education that our family back in Miami ascended through better socioeconomic status and better education. And finally, we put a big emphasis on the community, because it is by teaching the community and by creating a community in these different cultures that networks like these are going to expand. We truly believe that it is that working together where we can build a better connected future. Thank you.
Awesome, man. That was a great presentation. Really well put together, Jose. That's awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Any questions on that one?
Yeah, Jose, quick question for you. I'm just wondering, what do you think is going to be the hardest part of doing this, putting this together?
Yeah, Nico, it's a great question. So I look at it first from a content standpoint. I feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to create good content, extensive content. I think one of the hardest things is going to be, how can we reach our target audiences, right? How can we make sure that this content is being seen by people that, one, are part of the Hispanic community, and two, have an interest in what we're talking about here. So I think that that one of the biggest challenges is not necessarily creating the content, but sending that content or showing that content to the people that are going to be interested, that are going to be sort of like champions within their communities, and that are going to help us spread this. But for that, we have good experience with different marketing agencies that we have worked with the past couple of years. They're very good at sort of like defining a target audience, creating campaigns that are designed to finally target the people that we need to reach.
Great. Awesome. Sal?
No questions. This is awesome. Let me know if I can help translate anything, contribute to the cause.
Thank you.
Awesome. How about you, Alex?
Sí se puede.
Exacto, hermano. Sí se puede. Claro que sí.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so I got one here actually from the community. Let's see. Shreyas, he wants to know how the community members can help on that at all.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a great question. And going back to Nico's question, I think that when we start doing our target audience and selecting, defining how we can reach people, I think that we're going to start with friends and family. So if there are members of the community that know that, I've been wanting to teach my tia what pollen is, or my sobrino, or my hermano, but I just don't have the time or the resources, let us know. We need access to those people that are already in somehow tangentially related to our community and want to learn. And maybe are just one step away from learning. Let us know, and that will be a great help. Also, any method that we can collaborate on as far as reaching out and getting that target audience would also be helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, again, great presentation, and yeah, we look forward to seeing how this all works out. Thanks a lot, Jose. Have a good one.
Thank you, Andrew, for sure.
All right, awesome, guys. Well, we got I think 3 down now, and we're on to our next one. We've got Joe from Crypto Balloon here. I've worked with Joe in the past on some of these Helium projects. He's worked with the Helium grants program in the past, but he's here to present on a new open source host management platform. Take it away, Joe.
Yeah, everybody. I'll keep it short and sweet. We effectively have done a similar grant over on the Helium side as well. And we're just looking to create an open source community driven solution for hosting platforms. So we realized that as we entered the marketplace as a hosting provider, that there was no open source solution on the market where we could go and for free be able to calculate payments, calculate our taxes, calculate, any of the things that small businesses that are the people operating the network need to do on a regular basis. And so we've effectively been paying for those services until recently. But yeah, through the Helium Foundation, we're developing a program for them where there will be an open source, community driven project where you can, plug into the Helium ecosystem, track rewards, track payments, track hosts, etc. And we're effectively just kind of proposing a similar thing for Pollen. And I think the work is probably similar in that we'll have to do a whole different set of network integrations to pull down the relevant earnings data, so on and so forth. But it's, fairly straightforward project. And again, our main goal is payments, taxes, and really just being able to keep things private. Like for us, I think a big thing was like, we don't really like the idea of pushing all of our host data into some platform where we don't own the data. So us being able to manage all of that and keep that internal is much better for us personally. And we think there's a lot of other people that probably operate that way. The other thing that we also feel that this does for the community is it will further spur innovation in the space. So where you have maybe like one or two solutions currently, having a base platform that's open source that people can build on and then create like a platform as a service on top of, just opens up more potential in the marketplace for people to be able to have options. Yeah, that's effectively it. And any questions, happy to answer.
Cool. Anyone here? Nico, you got anything for Joe?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm still thinking.
All good. Joe,
Do you
so
have any?
go ahead,
sorry.
Alex. Go ahead.
If you've built it already for Helium, is that correct? It's already built for the Helium side. Could we see it? Could we take a look at what it looks like? Since you've done it already, might be helpful.
I don't know if in the context of this call I'm ready to present because it's a work in progress, and
no problem.
I don't think I have it running currently. But
no worries.
But yeah, I mean, certainly we can follow up with you guys and provide the team, the community, whether it's screenshots or other information about kind of what we're expecting. If anyone's familiar with Django, the Python framework, that's what we're building it on to try to reduce the engineering overhead effectively. So trying to utilize as much backplane as we can and just really implement the thin layer where we're pulling down rewards, we're storing all of that locally, we're allowing you as a user to then tie individual devices into hosts and provide generic algorithms to calculate payments and taxes and otherwise. So it's something that's also extensible and again should be a big plus for the community, hopefully.
Awesome. Anything, Sal?
No, nothing. Sounds awesome.
Awesome. Well, short and sweet it was. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone, yeah, if you want to post anything on the community page and stuff like that, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in checking that out. So appreciate it. Thanks, Joe. Awesome. Well, next up we've got Ash here from the Pollen community, and he's jumping in with a new anthology, Pollen Academy, that he'd like to put up.
Hello, everybody. Ashley Krug with Anthology. It's really funny. I was looking at the study of pollination, so between plants and bees, because all of your things for pollen, and so I've about myself, Ashley Krug. I just received my master's in instructional technology from UNC Wilmington. And I'm like, okay, hey, I've got this new master's. What am I going to do? And of course, I'm in the blockchain world, and I'm in education. So a lot of the instructional designers that you may see don't really understand blockchain or DLT. What's a DAG? They don't really understand those things. And then, quite frankly, you've got so now you're trying to create a decentralized wireless network all around the globe. So, what's all that about? So a learning framework in instructional design. So you've got 2 or 3 projects that we're trying to do for education. We just had Jose and all that into he's going to create a learning content towards English and Spanish, the community and everything. But what about a learning framework? What does that really mean? Well, in learning design, you have what's called ADDIE, which is you have analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. So basically the vision is you have all these courses. So all of these learning content creators will actually follow the framework that will be developed so that they can design their courses to help people learn more about the framework or what Pollen is. I actually try to give you an example. So one of the things in the analysis phase of the ADDIE process is Mayer's principles. And one of Mayer's principles is the image principle. So a lot of your video content where you have your video courses, you have you'll have a small little box of the facilitator of the course, and then you'll have all of your learning content. But in learning design and multimedia principles, this is a no-no. You really want to have a more illustrated version of the content and have a voiceover so that you can actually see the content and, as a learner, be able to adhere the knowledge that you're trying to learn. So the vision is basically running through the deliverables, which is basically the framework itself. Go through the design of a course. What is the development of each course? Going through there. How are they going to do evaluations? Are they going to do assessments? If they are, quite frankly, what does this do for learning content and the community itself? Quite frankly, the people who are designing these courses, they could actually have utilize this for high school, college, community colleges, universities, since this will be created from actually learning principles. They will be able to actually do these courses through the whole education system itself. So my vision was to actually have these so that they adhere to learning principles through all courses, so that we could be able to take these to go anywhere, not just online, but you could actually have it through any school. Thank you. And of course, any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Let's see.
What about Nico?
Sal? Nico, let's try Nico. Why not? Let's do it.
Hey, Nico, let's go.
So perhaps I'm missing this, but in what element of this the Pollen network, these learning frameworks that you're talking about?
I think we got a bit of a technical difficulty with the headset.
Did you understand
it, Nico?
Okay. Nico is on a higher plane of reality, so we're hearing him through the distortion field.
All right, Alex, give it to me, Alex.
I actually don't have any specific questions. I think it's a really interesting project. I'd love to kind of dig in and read again your written submissions, just to understand sort of the scope and how you see your milestones playing out. But I think those are more kind of nitty-gritty type questions that we can deal with offline.
Right. So,
Nico, I think, has a written question here. So maybe Andrew can read that out.
Yeah, I'll read it up here.
Relate back to Pollen. How does it relate back to Pollen? It basically, I will actually create the learning content as well, but it's more of having a framework. So when people create those courses that they're talking about, they're wanting to create, that they have to actually adhere to learning principles. So when my master's thesis was actually taking a blockchain course and making it so that it adheres to learning principles as a master's thesis. So this is basically to go.
Ouch, and I think we lost Ashley. two technical difficulties in the middle here. Well, we'll get back to them if we have anything else. But Ashley, thank you for jumping up on here. And I will get our next applicant up here. So next up is Jen. She goes by Adults, Arts, and Crafts here, and she wants to do some more pollen educational content and social posts here. Hey Jen, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Okay. I will start, and yeah, all my educational content can be found at GenFTeach, which I put there as well. But on January 21st, 2021, I was introduced to the blockchain for the first time. I was looking for decentralized social media because I was sick of censorship, the lack of information and diversity on my feeds. And I was sick of really having data exploited and kind of just concerned about how all of that connects and affects people on so many levels. In that, there was a bigger issue with the lack of access to communication for so many voices that really needed it the most. On that night, I read the Cypherpunk Manifesto, the Bitcoin white paper, and fell down the decentralization rabbit hole. For the first time, I felt truly optimistic, knowing that there were groups working on solutions to so many of the problems that I saw in the world. For me, NFTs were simply the gateway to me participating in the broader decentralized ecosystem. I saw the blockchain as step one, but noted that I would not stop until decentralized devices for dummies and mesh networks for dummies as well. Luckily, I don't have to build that because we have Pollen Mobile. Another huge value of mine, and one that's not really addressed by the blockchain by default, is privacy. And yes, read section 10 of the Bitcoin white paper. It is not guaranteed. So when I discovered NFTs, I saw them as a stepping stone to so many of my end goals, and truly made it my mission to not only understand the technology, but educate others as well. I came into the space with zero tech background. And, the first day reading so many different white papers and going into Discord, so much of what was being said to me was way over my head. At the time, I had the privilege of time, as it was still the pandemic. But I know not everyone is going to have that to fully understand. So, it's really become my goal to lower the barrier to entry to understanding, accessing, and benefiting from blockchain technology and decentralized ecosystems. I published my first NFT for Dummies guide in February 2021, and it had over 200,000 clicks within a month. And the difference was I don't come from a tech background, right? And while I have taught myself so much and deployed blockchain projects on my own, I still understand how things were when I first entered the space. I didn't know what any of these words meant. And so I've made a lot of comparisons, right? And simplified it for the person that needs to learn it and is going to stop reading once they've read 2 sentences of things that they don't understand. Another really big thing for me was just accessibility to information and education in this space. And while it's gotten so much better, especially being a woman in this space and someone that didn't have the technical vocabulary or knowledge at the time, it was really hard to enter a lot of these conversations and find answers. For me, I know how life-changing this technology is. And I've dedicated so much of my time to educating others. So I started making video tutorials, which are even in official documentation for companies like Manifold, have been shared by platforms like OpenSea and Rarible. All of my tutorials are less than 5 minutes, just simple, the steps you need to do and what it looks like. Because a big problem within this space, right, is that there is phishing, and that's the internet in general, not just crypto. And a lot of people get super anxious going through these steps for the first time. In September 2021, I was hired to be the head of community at Playboy. With just 3 weeks of lead time, I helped introduce the brand to the Web3 space. 50% of our mint was fiat, but people needed wallets, and I helped onboard over 5,000 of mostly traditional investors and people setting up a crypto wallet and learning about crypto for the first time. As far as brand building and just presence in this space, for Playboy, I created an NFT-specific Twitter, growing it to 20,000 followers within a few weeks, and with a 99% sentiment rate. I was able to align the brand and history with, Web3 ethos, which they were super aligned. And I also know how to communicate within this space. I launched a project this spring with one tweet in 48 hours that had 10,000 followers on the Twitter in the 12 hours that I looked at it, and it minted out within 5 minutes. The project raised over 60 ETH to help women, non-binary artists, and those who live in countries that access to crypto and resources is a lot harder. So especially with doing that project, I have a ton of people who've reached out to me where it's not just NFTs and crypto, right? But truly needing to understand decentralization. Across my personal social media networks, I have a following of over 75,000 people, as well as a large Discord server and presence in a few others, as well as an email listserv that's around those same numbers. Another thing I do with 2 other people in the NFT space is run a weekly space to help artists become fully self-sovereign and help them deploy their own smart contracts, which averages over 200 listeners a week. Like myself, so many of these people are truly wanting to take more steps, right, past just NFTs, but decentralizing everything that they do. And this week, I know we've had a lot of people really realize, self-sovereignty and decentralization, how important it was. And I think one of the best things was how many people reached out to me and they're like, I've been listening to you since day one. I've called myself a decentralization maxi while realizing that it's not so easy to just be fully decentralized. And so all I've done for the past year and a half is really just share information, resources, and teach people how to do it to empower them. So my pitch is simple. First, I have a large presence on socials, and I will be speaking at a few panels at Metaverse Miami, which is coming up. It's a big conference for Web3. I would love to help bring awareness to Pollen Mobile there. I would love to create tutorials on setting up flowers, bumblebees, hummingbirds, and some of the frequently asked questions in Discord. Running a large Discord, right? It's you're going to have people asking the same questions over and over. And what I found is that video format is really helpful for answering a lot of these questions. And as well as the basics of crypto, keeping your assets safe. If this is people's first introduction into crypto, truly understanding what it's about and the possibilities. I also host a lot of Twitter spaces, and I would love to do at least one to introduce Pollen into the ecosystem. And if interested, I would love to do a recurring space where we can really dive into these topics, dive into who you can help. And yeah, it's pretty simple. I think this is an amazing technology. It truly aligns with so many of the ethos I have and solutions I was looking for on my first day. I know that so many other people need it as well. And I'm not going to stop teaching people in this space till everyone has access to using their voice in a safe way, because there's so many that don't get seen, or people that don't have access to being able to have so many of these important conversations and information. So yeah, it's
Awesome.
pretty simple, but feel free to ask any questions.
Cool. I'm gonna peruse here on the YouTube to see if there's anything here, but Sal, would you like to ask a question there?
Yeah, which social media platforms are you mostly focused on?
I post the tutorials on Twitter, YouTube, and then in Discords. Some of my videos get uploaded directly into documentation. For me, it really, and then I send out via email as well. I post them in Discord natively. For me, it's not, personally, I don't care about a social media following. I came into this space to get rid of traditional social media, but you know, we're still there. So I post it, and I always share new videos throughout Twitter on all of my channels. And then I make them in TikTok as well. So they're there.
Cool. Awesome. Kanji, Nico? I think Nico's good. I think you're very thorough. You're very thorough. I don't think there's much left to ask. But thank you very much, Jen. I appreciate the time coming out here. And yeah, we'll good luck on everything. And let's see what happens here. All right.
Thank you
so much. Thanks for stopping by with us. Next up here, we have got some people that I'm sure a lot of the people that have been deploying DY for a while know. They're actually there at the Pollen headquarters right now, but we're going to bring up Daniel and Max from Hotspotty. Hey, how's it going, Daniel?
Rock and roll. I'm here with Max. Hey, guys. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're here also at the Pollen office. We're spending like a couple of weeks in San Francisco and LA to get really close to the people actually making things happen, while we are in Europe just building like the tooling that you need. Yeah, I mean, I guess for those who don't know, Hotspot is like a tool that we started mainly for Helium IoT when there was only Helium IoT in the world. And then started after this DY ecosystem started growing, we started growing with it. We've been building this tool for the past 2 years, full time, working like 7 days a week, just trying to figure out what things that we can do for the community. I think when we also try to get to know everyone in the ecosystem, we talk to a lot of people. We always try to ask. Yeah, I'm gonna share the screen in a bit. Thanks, Andrew. And yeah, we're just trying to get to know everyone in the ecosystem. Where we talk to a lot of deployers, the ecosystem, the protocols, and always see how we can build tooling to actually make it happen. Let me just try to share my screen real quick. Share screen. Entire screen. Yeah. Oops, sorry. And then, so what we're trying to do here, I'm just gonna quickly show. Let's see. All right. So basically, for those who don't know Hotspotty, right now we have like we've been working for the past 2 years into like finding the best way for anyone that run hotspots or Pollen, like right now for Helium IoT, to actually manage those devices. One thing that we want to focus on this grant is something called commission reports. Let me just give a quick example what we have right now for IoT. So basically, I have my wallets, my hotspots, locations, etc. Up to the commission reports is that what I pay my host at the end of the month. Opening this page, I have like all the hosts that I pay. I can, for this Andy Bernard, as you know from the office, he's one of our hosts of Hotspotty. And we paid him like for AGT, so we can open the details. We're gonna have all the 4 hotspots that he's hosting for us. We can have all the information from all the data that we're gonna pay him. You know, like have all the mining rewards for that. Of course, things are gonna be a little bit different with the move to Solanum from Helium, also for Pollen as well with Solanum. We're super excited to start working on this. I think you guys are gonna be the first ones to be able to see what we call it Hotspotty 3. When we started Hotspotty in end of November, it was, let me just stop sharing real quick. Hotspotty was, we launched the first version end of November 2020. And for myself, it took around 2 hours to pay my hosts. And then we keep like iterating and improving for the past basically 2 years, right? November. And now it takes about 30 seconds to pay all our hosts, just like, you know, commission, deploying, pay. And it's the same thing that we want to do for Pollen as well. So let me just share. It's still a work in progress, but I'm going to share the Figma designs that we've been working. So it's going to be the first time that you guys are going to be something like this. You guys are the first ones to see. So I'm a bit shy, so just keep in mind. So basically, this is what we're working on right now. It's still like I said, work in progress. You're gonna have here a little pollen device on Hotspotty. This is gonna be your control center. We're not gonna go too much in detail because I want to focus on the payment part, which is where let's say where Hotspotty shine, and also where we want to really bring these features to Pollen. We talk to a lot of deployers. We saw that this is something that's like a big pain point for them, and that's where we want to tackle first. So this is like the payment part of Hotspotty. It's going to open a page. I'm just going to like click here. It's one thing that's pretty cool. We have like a little icons for different. I have bumblebees, the hummingbirds, etc. So we want to try to make as simple and seamless as possible. And then even potentially with someone in this ecosystem build something that can automatically payment afterwards, right? We kind of have here, and just going to open the detail. For here is agency, but it's going to be Pollen. So this is more or less everything that we have built for Hotspotty that until now, but better, and also for the Solana ecosystem. So this is how we're going to look. And one thing that we believe it's going to be really interesting. So as you guys can see, it's similar to what we have now, but it looks a bit better, right? Let me go back here. And along with, I think, building Hotspotty for Pollen, one thing that we want to make sure to bring is our user base. So we have about 250,000 users. They're using Hotspotty every day, and a lot of them don't know Pollen yet. So we want to try to like bring this community to Pollen, help pollenize the US, and then maybe later the world when you expand to other CBRS in Europe or something like that, right? So I think we are very excited to build this, and I think we can really help spread the word to other people who don't know even 5G at CBRS. A lot of people are still like on Helium IoT. So yeah, we're very excited for it, and hope you guys like it too, and we actually can make an impact on the whole ecosystem.
Yeah,
I think
awesome.
that's it. Just like it.
Awesome. Anyway, Alex.
Well, first of all, it looks amazing. I'm really excited to try it out when it's ready. So I know it's just mock-ups for now, but that's okay. Everything starts with mock-ups. I'm curious about how much of this is open source versus closed source.
So the software itself of Hotspot is closed source, but we want to start getting more into, let's say, bringing DeFi into DeFi. That's something that, for example, the project that Fisher is working on can be super interesting. Once we start having the automated payments, then it's going to be more into like what is it called? Like a smart contracts with their open source, right? But as we are like a product that we want to keep on developing, and we have at one point we need to be profitable. Then this thing is going to be like a SaaS product that we want it to be the coordination layer on DeFi. And unfortunately, a lot of things that cannot be open source, because open source software usually is not as good as closed source.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, because like the incentives are not necessarily aligned, right?
Well, it's just, I'm asking the question because this is a grant, right? This is not an equity or debt.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I totally understand. But I think the value is not necessarily on open sourcing a tool, is actually enabling this tool for the ecosystem, and also bringing awareness of this. By working with Pollen, we believe that we can really, really help everything and help the community grow. At Hotspotty, at Hotspotty, we're actually like, in a way, some sort of market makers, and we're also very, very good at community building. And that's something that it's open source, or it's open, because we are always kind of like being the cheerleaders for all the ecosystem that we work with, right?
Awesome. Yeah, you've got some people that are cheering on Hotspotty here in the chat. Sal, anything from you?
No, nothing. I'm super excited and glad we got to be the first ones to see into the future here. So thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Yeah. Nico?
Let's go Hotspotty V3.
Yeah,
Thank you,
let's
guys.
go. All right. Well, thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for the sneak peek into it. I know I've been using Hotspotty forever, so I'm always stoked to get to see some new stuff. So thank you. Appreciate it. Next one we got up is I'm going to actually bring up one of my colleagues here, Graham. He's streaming right now live from his being remodeled office / dungeon, and he's going to be presenting on alongside with for our plan for Pollen mobile integration for data credit conversion.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on. So where do I start? So much. I guess a little background. I have a very strong technical and development background. Been operating development teams, working with Andrew and Noble Networks. Started doing some stuff with Helium, building a bridge, which I'm not going to get into that, but it's not needed with the new move to Solana. So anyways, as far as this grant goes, basically we are tackling the goal. So Pollen is providing mobile service of different sorts, whether it's phones or devices and all that. And the average end user needs an easy way to utilize the network and to pay for the network. So paying for the data credits. So our singular goal is facilitating that process, allowing people to use fiat currencies to buy data credits. But it has to be done in a way that works with the overall tokenomic model. And so I could spend probably a good hour, which I know we don't have, getting into the all the different components here. But so I'm going to try to keep it brief, probably overly brief, and I can continue answering questions afterwards or on Discord. But basically, we view this as a 3-tier approach. 3 tiers are: number one, that you have your front end dApp, you have your fiat on ramp, you have a way that somebody takes US dollars and purchases crypto of some sort. We can talk about USDC or some sort of stable token. Then you have the process where they actually spend that, convert it into some sort of blockchain transaction that's recorded. So much into that. I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then the third portion is how that results in overall positive pressure for the PCN token, as well as how that actually gets applied to their account. And I struggle to consolidate this without half an hour to an hour. But so as far as the component number one, we're looking at a fairly traditional dApp. There may be some Web 2 features, getting into database, possibly integrating with the mobile core. A little bit fuzzy on that, but basically the goal here is to partner with one or more crypto on-ramps so that somebody can they connect their Solana wallet and they can see their account, they can see their data credit balance, and they can click a button, connect a card, bank account, whatever it may be, and at the end of the day they're receiving USDC or some sort of crypto asset. And they can sign a transaction working with a Solana program saying that they want to purchase X number of data credits, and their job at that point should be done. My vision for the use case or the user experience is that within maybe 30 seconds to a minute, they should have their data credits applied. There's a lot of moving pieces that it sounds like that should be possible, but that's one of our stretch goals, hopefully within seconds. So yeah, that's kind of summary of component number one. Component number two is once somebody has paid their stable tokens and data credits, there's going to be a fixed pricing with that. So those are going to be deposited into a Solana program that's basically a temporary custodian or a buffer contract of some sort. And we have about 3 different models or algorithms for how that is handled. But and mind you, the user is not directly involved in this portion after the program has received the deposit, but it's basically a big fund. And depending on the model, basically this program is designed to, whether every couple seconds or every couple minutes, to slowly take a portion of its balance of stable tokens and use those to purchase PCN on the open market, or markets, whichever it may be. And as a result, that's going to create a very constant but steady positive pressure on the PCN price. There's numerous advantages over doing a kind of continuous drip system, as opposed to saying, well, okay, every night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time or Central or whatever, we're going to make a big buy or something. Yeah, because you have front running and things like that. There's a lot of very fun tokenomic concepts and discussions to get into, but suffice it to say that this program is basically just it's programmed so that it takes its balance and it uses it to buy PCN, and then it forwards that. That more than likely is going to actually utilize what Andrew was talking about yesterday, the Pollen splits, which there we go, is on screen there. So sending funds into the mobile core, maintenance, anyone that transmitted data, things like that. We're in early discussions about potentially implementing a PCN burn at that phase. We do not have the full details or numbers or anything, or if that's actually happening, but we would like to. We feel like that's a good addition to the tokenomic model. And again, can't really comment on any details that haven't been defined, but this is where we would say, $10,000 worth of data credit purchase came in today. It was used to buy PCN at whatever the price is, and we're going to burn 2%, 5%, 50%. I don't know what the number is.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the whole purpose of this, right, is like for the network needs to start selling data, right? We all want to have our flowers receiving data, right? And so, a basic user going through it pretty simply is like, an eSIM or NFT would buy data. It would communicate with our data credit conversion contract. That contract would go up to the mobile core, synchronize with the mobile core, tell it how much data these eSIMs had. And then at the end of every single day, just like how we have rewards calculated at the moment for all of our flowers, our BBs, whatever, it would also start sending the information back to the contracts that how much data was used. And then it would be pulled from the pools that were holding those, transactions or holding those funds, and then buy it off the DEX markets at times, almost random times throughout the day, so that there was preventing front running and stuff like that, and then split it off to the appropriate sides. Again, like Graham said, with the 20%, or the token burns or anything, there hasn't been a number on that, but it's something that we floated to the Pollen team, that they seem somewhat receptive of listening to our ideas on it, but I think that it's something that could benefit the ecosystem as a whole, and we hope that the system will get implemented and we can start, buying some data credits. So,
yeah, that's a great summary there, Andrew. Appreciate the diagram there. So at the end of the day, the two main goals here are that, number one, end users have an easy, seamless way that they can utilize the network. Appreciate that, Max. Burn it all. That is an option. It's a hard sell for some people, but so the end user needs a very easy way. We could have a future version of this that's also either a separate app or part of the Pollen mobile app. That's not in discussion right now, but it stands to reason that makes sense that you can just top up things through an app at some point. But so we have that going, and then for Pollen, as far as the network, there does need to be some positive price pressure in the long term. So those data credits need to be used to buy PCN some point somehow. And so we believe that the general model that we have outlined for the program, I think it's called the data credit conversion program, is going to provide a lot of advantages over, there's 4 or 5 different other models that can be used. So yeah, that's the sum of it. I love talking about the tokenomics and things like this, but I'll leave out the finer details for now. What kind of questions do we have coming here?
Yeah, let's see. And let's see any questions from the team.
What's the how do you do the random buying? Well, what DEX are you going to connect to?
Yeah. So obviously right now, right, there's that's part of the issue, right? The DEXs at the moment have kind of been overloaded, and especially with the unfolding of the events in the last week is they've been a little spotty. Yeah, it basically right now the way that it was set up is it was going to be putting we were planning on having a service that is coordinated with the mobile core, that it was a signer for that contract. And so essentially we were going to have some sort of randomization model, because at the end of the day, you don't want to do it at like, a regular time, once every hour or something, because you have front runners, people buying and can manipulate the market, right? Like that was one of the concerns that we had in terms of like being secure. So we were going to have a off-chain service and coordination oracle that was going to be controlling that. So it would just be taking the sum of, all the data that was used in the past 24 hours, and during the next day would be doing random buys off the DEX at market price, and which would hopefully, like if people have it on there, like it's going to, no one knows, right, when it's going to go, but it just knows that the sum of whatever those data that was spent would be bought off the next day and then distributed based off the pools to those different owners on the following day, essentially. And the DEX
and another part of
we'd be
that,
using whatever was available at the moment.
Yeah, another component there, and this is a model that I've implemented with a DeFi protocol earlier this year. But the whole thing about front running and timing and randomization and stuff like that is like you have options, things that you can do. But the approach that we took with this a DeFi protocol that my team worked with is that what we really just did is that we broke up these purchases down to the per block or per second. So once we establish the numbers, and again, there's 3 or 4 different algorithms that can be used that functionally do the same thing, but you can just say it's like, hey, there's $10,000 worth of value that needs to be purchased, and that translates down to pardon the math, but maybe it's 25 cents a second or something like that, and and you can still run those purchases at random times, or you can, mathematically speaking, you could run that every 10 seconds or something, and you just take tiny slices. Now, there's costs. Obviously, you probably don't want to run a transaction every 2 seconds or anything like that. But conceptually, as long as you have a target for the total amount that needs to go out, and you don't deplete the program totally, there's numerous different ways. I've written out a couple of these, and we have. I think we're still settling on which exact model that we're working with, but basically, to avoid front running, you can do some randomization, but if you could calculate down to the second, maybe you run it every 5 minutes or every 15 minutes, or every time there's more than $5 worth of value or something, and you make it small enough and or unpredictable enough that nobody in their right mind is going to try to front run, because there's not really any point. It's not like they're gonna take a lot more risk trying to do that kind of front running than they stand to gain by front running a $3 transaction or something like that.
Yeah, and also, I know that we've got one question up here on the thing. They were talking about a blind Dutch auction, and that concept, it was plausible. The reason why that we proposed this instead is just because of the control of that. When you're essentially like centralizing a service where you have your own private service and you have a Dutch auction or whatever it may be, you're essentially becoming a money services business. You're trading one thing for another, and that's just it's a lot more to ask someone to do, right? You're essentially becoming an exchange at that point. So that was part of the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, we talked about that. You definitely considered that. The terms I remember were actually reverse Dutch auction, not a blind Dutch auction. I may have missed part of that, but yeah. One of the things at the end of the day, we were talking with Anthony specifically about that, and we can do that, and we can integrate with the DEXs and everything, but the amount of development, on the price tag associated with that is, we absolutely can do that, but we're talking a significant increase in the amount of work, the amount of time that is involved in turning something around. Whereas if we can do something that's algorithmic, that uses existing DEXs, it's a lot cheaper. I'm not a big money guy or anything, but if I don't have to, if we don't have to come in and say like, hey, Pollen, we need X, and we need, an extra 30% more because we're using this mechanic. It's going to be significantly more efficient to not try to maintain auction contracts or programs and order books and things like that. So it's definitely an option, but it's an option that we don't feel is in the best interest for the network at this point, and potentially is not necessarily the best fit. It is an option for sure.
Cool. Anything else, Nico, Kanji? I don't know. All right. I think we're good. Well, we are gonna have Sally come back in here. Thanks, Graham. Appreciate it jumping up here. We were gonna have Sally come back, and she was going to get us this giveaway for everybody. I think everyone here probably put in. They probably put in their hashtag here to get some free pollen swag. I think if we did it just like we did last night, we were doing 3 different winners here. So we're going to put that up on the screen. If you didn't already, in the next couple minutes, put in pollen grants on hashtag pollen grants, and we're going to get that up here going right now, just to get some winners here from the community. So let me put this up real quick. Let's see here. Awesome. So we got 17 entrants at the moment, and we're going to pick 3 of them here. So let's see. We got Sally. There she is. How are you? All right. Awesome. Let's draw these.
I'm here.
Ed Ballou from last night. So Ed is our first winner here. He's going to get a pretty cool sweatshirt.
Yeah.
We're going to draw again. See, and everybody just go ahead on Discord and message. You can either message me directly in the Discord or any of the, or Sally. She's in there as well. So just message one of us in there.
Message me at what the frick.
I love that username, by the way.
I love it too. It's not original. Somebody made it up for me.
Wait,
so I can't
wow, this is rigged. This is rigged. We can't do Ed again. Sorry, Ed. We can't give you 2. Let's see. Max Gold in here wanting to burn down the house. He was saying burn it all earlier. We got Max here. And then on the last one, let's see. Ishmael Ali. There we go. We got our 3 for tonight. So congratulations to everybody. And did you want to say anything, Sally?
I have to say, I want to really give a special shout out to Jen. So much of what she said resonated with me when I entered the tech world. I had no idea what I was doing either. And I had to read white papers and learn. And you're in this community of so many men. And I think what you're doing is really powerful. And everything everyone is doing is powerful, but you have to give it up for women in tech. So thanks to the community. This was so much fun. Thanks to Fisher again for the millionth time, who should be on TV, and you're a star. So appreciate it all. Happy to be here too.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again to all the committee members above me here on this Brady Bunch setup here. And I can't wait to see everybody on the next one. Again, the Pollen Grants Program is open for submissions year round on a rolling basis. We had done this first round just because we wanted to kickstart off the grants program. So if you have any great ideas and you want to try something crazy, try something innovative, put a grant in, see what we can do. If we can do it and it's in the best interest of the community, we would be happy to have you and do as much as we can to support you. So thanks again to everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andrew.